So don't try to act so innocent. You can take that fake apology and shove it right up your hairy...
Random disclaimer.
Teen movies have an impact on the culture, especially ones that I was exposed to. Think about it. A movie came out and you and your friends are sitting in there like, we got to go see that. And you find out through word of mouth or like a TV commercial, or when you was watching a prior movie, they just gave a preview of it and you realize like, oh, that is so fun. We got to make an event. You get your outfits together. You try to match or try to be on theme of some sort. You coordinate with each other. Your parents got to talk to each other's parents and vice versa. You got to figure out who's going to be driving or who's going to drive y'all, what time you're going to meet up, what snacks you're going to have. You got to ask money from your parents, or if you was that kid that had a job, whatever. You got your own money, but it was a whole event going to the movies with your friends or your family. A lot of coordination. Okay, got to get the time sign right. Got to get the meetup spot together, because I didn't have a cell phone back in my early days. You kids have it made. I'm sorry. But it was a whole event. And I was sitting back watching Mean Girls, one of my favorite teen movies from back in the day. Just think about that. You're watching a movie, you're laughing, and you didn't think twice, because I didn't think twice, about the antics kids were going through. It like, you see kids disrespecting their parents, they have these big school events, they have like some big triumph that they have to do, like the weight of the world's on their shoulders, and you're sitting there like in awe. Wow. Because when I watch these movies, I want to be entertained. I'm not thinking too much about, the how, when, where, why type of deal. Or that's impossible, or that couldn't happen to me. I'm just sitting there watching, basking in the ambience, just getting immersed in this universe. And I thought nothing of it until now. These movies had like 5 main tropes. There were other tropes as well, yeah, but they have 5 main tropes. I'm telling you, it's like a formula. There is a formula. If you watch one of my prior movies, I believe it's a movie I was talking about. I think it's Die Hard, and I was talking about the formulas Chris movie has. Yeah, there's a formula that teen movies have. I was talking about my favorite movies that kind of cater to different type of tropes, and just chill and vibe. This video is not that serious. It's not supposed to be like, it's a vibe. Just sit here, watch, have fun, and that is it. And if you like this, let me know. I'm exploring different, I would say, video topics. Sorry for the long videos, but let's get it cracking. The main topics I'll be going over today is the movie elements, the same elements that these teen movies do have. The overall messaging of teen movies back in the day. The cultural impact, because we all have been impacted in some way by this darn movie. Whether it's yourself, your friends, your family, you have been impacted in some way. You probably don't know it. They don't want to talk about the impact of these movies on my life, because they have impacted it in some shape, form, or fashion. And the last thing is, why do I appreciate these movies now? When I think of teen movies, I think about movies that involve teen main characters that's living a teen life in a teen environment, have teen elements that I can relate to as a teen. That's why I think of a teen movie, because I know some of these movies I'm about to mention, these are some grown-ass people playing these characters. What elements do these teen movies have? I'll probably explore why. It depends on if I freaking remember the why. But they always have. Now, before I get this list, other movies may lean heavily on other elements versus, the other. Yeah, will lean heavily on one element versus others. Oh goodness, bear with me. It's early, but the elements always pertains to, always has, these movies always has social cliques. A queen bee or like a top jock, some type of transformation, a big school event, and the last element, which I freaking hate, but we have to address it because it is real life, it is everyday for people, bullying. All 5 of those are in every single teen movie. I'm telling you, like go watch your favorite teen movie. All 5 of them will be in every single last movie. Now, why? To hone in a message, hopefully to give a lessons learned to other people, hopefully to inspire or encourage. I mentioned social cliques, and one movie that sticks out to me is Mean Girls. I love this movie, I am telling you. Now it has all 5 elements, yes, but when I tell you, when Mean Girls came out and they introduced those cliques and those people stuck to those cliques, of course, spoiler, but in the movie, the cliques kind of broke up, but besides the point, going back. In the movie, I felt like high school was looked at as a social battlefield, and teen movies often portray schools as a hierarchy rather than a place for learning, where social groups form identities and power structures. No matter what group you're in, it's from the popular chicks or like the nerds or nerds, I'm a nerd, or what's it called, the engineer clique or like the yearbook club. They all have that. The cliques are defined as a place of belonging, like-minded people. In the movie, they explored the plastics, and those are the main girls in the movie. It covers Gretchen Wiener, Karen, Regina, and of course Katie, or people will call her Caddy. That's the main character, Lindsay Lohan's character. You have the mathletes, is the folks that they go to math debates, they have complicated math questions, and they work together and solve problems together. And of course, they have the quote-unquote art freaks, the people that's into the arts. They're into making art, they're into going to art shows, and they're into that art culture. Now, you're going to notice that these teens are grouped together by their interests. Like, they're going to be grouped together in that nature. However, labels to me is not that simple. Like, people are free to have multiple different interests, but it looks like, in these movies, if you lean heavily on the art or heavily on the science or heavily on the yearbook, that's where they stick you in. But besides the point, these labels, it's a simplified identity, and it also creates division as well. This is significant because you're realizing that not only the groups form their social circle around these identities, and they hang out with particular people because of this identity, they also carry this into sitting and eating. They sit together. These people talk amongst each other and hang out with each other. The cliques in this movie was strong. The jocks sat together, the preps, the band geeks, the art freaks, the cool Asians, everybody sat together. Also the black hotties, which was actually kind of a funny name. But yeah. Now let's talk about the Queen Bee trope. And I think of Clueless when I think of Queen Bee. Yes, I think of Mean Girls too, but I think of Clueless more. And the Queen Bee, I believe her name is Cher. And the Queen Bee is often, to me, shown as a influential student inside of a school who sets trends, controls social narratives, and define what is considered quote-unquote popular. And Cher was that girl. Cher controlled the fashion and the social atmosphere of her school, but her influence was visible and other students admired it. But now think about it, if I have time, I'm just going to insert all her fashion in here. Now, did she learn her lesson, get a little bit humbled? Yes, in the end. I'm just saying because you'll notice all these movies, everybody has a transformation. Just saying, either somebody goes from a bee to like, an angel, or go from an angel to like a villain. Somebody's transitioning. Somebody is transforming. Also, I noticed in this movie, not only there was a queen bee, but you'll notice that there's power that comes through charisma and having confidence, because characters like Cher was admired because she appeared to be confident and socially skilled. Now, you'll want to thank, her family structure. Okay, yeah, but still, having confidence and charisma is still crucial, because not only she had those two, she had the influence on people because she had charm, she had style, and social intelligence, which a lot of people do not have. It's funny because there's a lot of people who has that combo, charisma and confidence. And I'm telling you, if you have those two, especially in the workplace, in your friend group, if you're doing like an event, I'm telling you, you fake it till you make it. Technically, you fake it till you make it. But she had strong attributes, and not only, she walked the walk, she talked the talk too. Also, with a queen bee, you're gonna notice that they battle with popularity and trying to be kind, because you don't want to be too kind to the wrong type of people, because people might find that lame is weird. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just saying, I'm not the writer. But some queen bees start off as like shallow and controlling, and normally this type of arc, it involves with them learning self-empathy and self-aware, not self-empathy, just regular empathy, and them developing self-awareness. I like how I combine the two in my brain. Where's the key going with that? You can see that with Cher. She is set in her ways. She feels like her way is right, and you slowly see her like unravel and like unlearn the stuff that she was doing. Like, she begins to grow and be more empathetic, and she progresses into a better person, because that's the goal. We all have to evolve, and she actually evolved. Now, moving on to the transformation, the makeup / glow up trope, and I was debating if I want to do Love No Cost a Thing or The Princess Diaries, but we're gonna Princess Diaries for this one because she did a huge transformation. Yes, Nick Cannon did a transformation too, but I need to use him for another example later. But Princess Diaries. This type of trope explores that this character, this main character, has greatness within them, but they simply haven't discovered it yet. And this movie, I believe it was like her beauty, her poise, and her background that a lot of people don't know of. Like she wasn't aware that, you know, she came from royalty. She didn't freaking know. She knew her own potential. Maya, my bad, I had to go Google that. So Maya, right? Not only she didn't know her background, her full potential, she was also socially awkward, felt invisible, and she felt underestimated, which is understandable. You know, when you see her backstory, you understand why she is like that. However, eventually she shows about her family history, and she realizes that she has a potential to have high responsibility in, you know, her family structure. So it leads to a transformation, aka a glow up. And she went through a makeover. The glasses were removed because, you know, those days glasses are kind of nerdy now. I wear glasses like 80% of the time of my life. Glasses are cool. Okay, these things are expensive. They styled her hair. I believe her hair was like big and curly, but they made it I believe it was straighter and finer. And then another thing that they did was give her new clothes. She had like relaxed clothes, pretty casual, pretty cute, which I feel like it was actually kind of nice. It's unique. Because my thing is, why would you want to be like every other person? I feel like individuality is very nice because I don't like how our society is going. Okay, I'm looking on social media. Side note, looking on social media and I'm looking at people that's starting to look very similar. The same fashions, you shop at the same places, you're putting your outfits together in a similar way. I'm not liking this. I love individuality, which I really liked her individuality in movie, but I get it. She was increasing her social status and she needs to dress a certain way to, I would say, fit this royalty mold. I hope I explained that right. You'll notice that this makeover, when she goes to the makeover, she looked more quote unquote appealing because she was appealing before. Appealing in appearance. She was able to gain more confidence and do things or say things that she would have never dreamed of doing before the makeover. And then also, that transformation leads to internal and external transformations too. Like, you're gonna notice that Maya is going through and realizing what she's gained from this transformation and what she's losing from the transformation. And you're gonna see her battle with confidence, self-acceptance, and courage. Not only is she transforming or transformed from the outside, she has to do some inner working herself. I kind of like the message because I think of it as makeovers doesn't really require hair or clothing changes, but it's discovering the version of yourself that you didn't realize was already there. Now, on to my next trope. Is one of my favorite movies.
What?
All these are my favorite movies. What I'm talking about. Another favorite movie of mine is Bring It On, and it's funny because I related to this one when it first came out because I was a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader. Yeah, eventually I went off and did track and stuff, but you know, back in my heyday, back in my early athletic days, I was a cheerleader first. Bring It On was heavy on the events because the event is the big cheer competition that they had to prepare for Captain, and that's when we met the main character. And I gotta find her name too, because I forgot her freaking name.
You're Captain Torrance.
Torrance, of course. There's a song at the beginning. They're just having a dream sequence. How I forget that? My bad. I'm sorry. A lot is going on. But Torrance, right? She became the team captain, and you see that she is trying to get the team to have spirit and, you know, get their head in the game and focus on the competition. Because, however, you're going to notice that the group is experiencing regular team life. You already know. And of course, with a sporting event, there's always going to be a rivalry. And they had a rival team called the Clovers. And the Clovers was from a different part of town. They were a little rough and tough, aka the Black Chicks, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they had sass and they had attitude, and I freaking love them, I ain't gonna lie. Look, their cheers are way better, not gonna lie.
I said, it's cold in here. There must be some clovers in the atmosphere.
And they had a little rivalry. You're gonna notice that Torrance found out that the prior cheerleading lead was taking moves from the other team, so that's probably where the original beef stemmed from. So probably it wasn't because of, you know, experience with beating each other to competitions like other typical sports movies was. This kind of, you know, tricked off because the prior team lead was being trifling. So I'm saying, but besides the point, it's still in line with this trope, still in line with this school event trope. Yeah. Now, not only that, School event tropes, they have always had a emotional turning point. So not only this, it's a high stakes thing. I went over the rivalry. I went over towards trying to get the team to get together, the teamwork status. It's like it's always somebody it's always friendships breaking up or new friendships being created. It's always something romantic happening. It's always characters trying to improve themselves. It's always the same in a school event, and it's no different with Bring It On. Bring It On, you have all these different layers. You have Torrance, relationship. You have Torrance trying to make amends with the rivalry team. You have Torrance trying to bring the team together, have a sisterhood, have a group, and then ultimately make sure everybody is prepared and ready to participate in the big cheerleading event. It's like school events is turning everyday teenage drama into something bigger. Suddenly every friendship, rivalry, and reputation is on display. It's really interesting. Now, on to the next one. This next element I want to talk about is very annoying, but it is very real. People go through it. It is bullying. And like I mentioned before in the transformation one, I was battling between Princess Diaries and Love Don't Cost a Thing. I'm going to use Love Don't Cost a Thing in this element. Remember I was mentioning earlier with the transformation trope that I was battling between Princess Diaries and Love Don't Cost a Thing? I'm going to use Love Don't Cost a Thing with this element. My next and last element I want to talk about, because so many other elements that these teen movies have, but it's bullying. I cannot ignore that fact. It's one of my least favorite because I don't want to see it in my face, but I have to remind myself it happens. People go through it. It is a piece of everyday life, so it has to be addressed. So this movie follows Alvin, and it's because he's not the cool kid, okay? He's a pool cleaner, he's into mechanics, and he's very smart. And those three aspects, it's not attractive. Nobody's gonna go for that, okay? In the type of school that he's in, he had no chance, just to be honest. He was operating in a strict social ladder. Other students laughed at him and dissed him because, if the jocks are not showing him respect, they're not gonna show him respect either. So he was pretty much made invisible. Now, Alvin got lucky. He was able to repair one of the popular girl's car in order for her to pretend to be his girlfriend so he could be popular. And it was little kinks at the beginning, but eventually he slowly came into his own. He's able to incorporate some of the stuff that he knows, especially about cars and stuff, to show in front of the popular guys. And eventually he rose to popularity, but at what cost? Because eventually the girl that he was with was very interested in him, but his head was so inflated with this newfound popularity. He's not getting bullied no more, that he lost her, his original friends, and lost it all. Alvin was probably tired of getting bullied, and he was enjoying not being bullied for a moment. You're gonna notice that as Alvin becomes more popular, he's adopting more of the same arrogant behaviors that he disliked in others. In doing so, he's hurting his genuine friends and becoming more dismissive for his people that was once in his position. Alright, so that ends my piece on what elements these movies have. Now, I want to go over to the overall message. I'm going to stress this again. There are plenty of other teen movies that I can use, but I'm just going off of my favorites. Bear with me, because I know somebody's probably like, oh, you're missing stuff. I know, I'm sorry. There's a ton. Now, let's go back over the tropes and break down what these tropes are trying to convey. I went over social cliques, the queen bee, jock, the transformation, school events, the bullying. What are these films trying to convey? Now let's work in reverse. I want to go over bullying. Since I just talked about Love Don't Cost a Thing, let's go over bullying. Love Don't Cost a Thing, Alvin starts off as a stereotypical outsider. He's intelligent, awkward, and frequently mocked by his classmates, and most particularly the popular classmates. When he pays Paris to pretend to be his girlfriend, his social status changes overnight. He had that manyan, he had the moolah, so he was able to walk, talk to talk, in exchange for him fixing her grill. Yet, even though popularity was very much exhilarating for him, he loved it, he thrived in it. It was a rough start at the beginning, yeah, we may add, but towards the end, he was that guy. He was popular. He became arrogant and dismissed his true friends. He started to behave like the people that he once bullied. Ultimately, Alvin realizes that popularity is solely based on appearances. It's not real at all. And this film highlights the fragile and performative aspects of popularity. And it shows how people should respect their friendships because it stemmed from authenticity and not from social status or public perception. So his overall thing is he should have stayed true to himself from the beginning. Yes, he may get bullied. Yes, it's like a situation, but his friends, they were with him when he was getting bullied. They stuck with him. They stood by his side. And that's somebody that you want to be by your side, especially carrying into adulthood. Because they're going to be with you through thick and thin. Because they showed you that. They showed you that. And that's the type of friends that you want to have. You don't want to chase the stereotypical popularity type of vibe because it looks good on the outside. You know, being on the other side, it feels kind of shallow. Yeah, it may feel good temporarily for a moment, but does it fulfill you? Do you feel satisfied? So now, leaving the bullying aside, let's move on to the school events. And I talked about bringing on as my school event example, my school event trope for teen movies. The movie follows Torrance, and her team has been winners, and she's used to winning. And she has a winning mindset. She wants to win by any means necessary. However, she is unraveling her winner mindset into somebody who's trying to win with fairness, integrity, and earning their win in the right way. Throughout all her trials and tribulations of her little teen life, she is able to create her own original routine with the help of her squad, of course, and then lose first place. However, knowing that they came together through all their struggles, they came up with their own moves without having to steal from another team. Yes, they got second place, but it's more meaningful. Like, they worked day and night, blood, sweat, and tears to get their win. And even though they wasn't first place, they're used to being winners, they feel, I'll say, fulfilled. True achievement isn't about winning by any cost. It's all about truly expressing your creativity through your honest work and respecting others' contributions. And it was really nice to see these teams that was once rivals have a mutual understanding and respect for each other moving forward. Now, the transformation trope, I want to go over that one. So, Princess Diaries was my example, and we follow Mia, and she's part of the Genovia bloodline, and she has a lot of things to feel, and she goes through internal and external changes. And you see how she tries to resist being a princess, is taking on her new responsibilities and this newfound transformation of herself. To see how she blossoms to a awkward schoolgirl and to a princess, where she finds her confidence which she lacked before. Overall, it's telling me that the story reveals that the real glow up isn't physical, it's inside. It explores self-confidence in realizing that the qualities that you have as a person, even though you look different, is unique, and you bring stuff to the table because she did make changes in her grandmother's life. She didn't really adjust to her grandmother's Genovian customs and their slang. Like, she brought her own taste, her own flavor. You know, that's okay too. You're different. It's okay to be different, and I do appreciate this transformation she goes through because it is powerful. Now we're moving on to the Queen Bee trope and looking at the overall messaging. This Queen Bee role belongs to Cher. From the beginning of the film, Cher is established as somebody who understands how a social system works and, most importantly, how to manipulate it. No offense to her. As the story progresses, instead of focusing on maintaining her popularity, Cher is starting to actually see people as genuine people. She's trying to be helpful. She's trying to change her priorities and focus on things that really matter, not trying to be popular by any means and maintain the Queen Bee status. And she grows and learns that she doesn't have to maintain a perfect image. It's all about understanding yourself and learning how to care for others. Now, she realizes that popularity doesn't equate to happiness or success. The film shows that she can be self-aware and kind and have personal growth and still be a contributing member to like a social society. She doesn't have to be Queen Bee. Lead with authenticity and lead with empathy, and that's what she learns. And last but not least, the social cliques is well organized. There's a map in the movie. Every table belongs to a certain group. Katie climbed the social ladder. She did what the Plastics wanted her to do. She played their games. However, when she got burned in the process, she decided to enact revenge and break up like their little clique. However, as she got closer and closer to more popularity, Katie was losing her essence. She was losing things that made Katie Katie. She loved Africa. Look, the stuff that she learned, she's cultured, she's smart, she was dumbing herself down for one of the guys she had the hots for, and she was turning to a mean girl, she was turning to a liar, a conniver, and she was slowly losing herself to fit into this clique. So one, get paid back, and then two, be a mole for Janice. And then three, because she lost her way. This is not all worth it, especially after the plastics was exposed for their burned book. And at the end of the film, you see the social hierarchy collapses during the spring fling era, which is like their big prom thing. Like I said, there's multiple elements in these movies that are shared amongst each other. It's spring fling is like one of the school event tropes. We'll keep it going, but it was damaged to the point where the school had a whole meeting inside a gymnasium to try to figure out what went wrong. Ultimately, it argues that social labels and cliques are artificial structures to just divide people. Like I mentioned before, people have the right to have multiple interests. They don't have to be confined to one interest that they like. They just happen to like it. Don't fit them in a box. People are not meant to fit in a box. We're meant to fill multiple boxes. Gretchen went from a follower that's always underneath Regina over to her own group, explore her own identity. Katie was back with her original friends and she gained new friends. Karen was able to explore her, interests or her gifts for telling the weather. And then ultimately, Regina George, she joined a sports team to get out her aggression. I believe it was like lacrosse she was playing. Yeah, lacrosse. Boom. See, my next topic is the cultural impact teen movies have on pop culture in general. And the prior movies that I mentioned, I believe I mentioned like 5, they have significant impact. And not only those, it's others as well. What sticks out to me is the depiction of high school archetypes, like the jock, the brainiacs, the princess, the rebel, the outcast, all of that. Because I feel like movies later on, it showed the same archetypes in their films. And so many other things like Easy A, Superbad, Booksmart, Twilight, you name it, they all brought something to the table that impacted pop culture, from the quotes, the fashion, the different scenes, how they're addressing certain topics. It is a conversation starter, and I catch myself doing quotes from different films, like, without even thinking of it. They impacted me. Now, why do I have a newfound appreciation now for these films? Because I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I was not appreciating them in the way you think. I appreciate them for the entertainment. I didn't appreciate them because I was like, how will I live that out in my real everyday life? How am I going to experience this in real life? I'm watching these characters live out these lives in high school with these cute little outfits, these friend groups, in a drama made for TV. And I'm realizing that I'm not experiencing that, but little did I know, I should have appreciated it more, that my life was not that drama filled. I'm actually glad that my schooling was not that eventful. Like, it was actually pretty chill. Anyway, like I mentioned before, now that I'm older, my perspective has changed. Of course, it's going to change over time. I'm older. Instead of seeing these movies as something to envy, I started to appreciate them for what they really are. And the stories about growth, identity, and figuring out who you truly are and who you want to carry on to your future self, When I watch now, I notice lessons behind the humor and the drama. It's not all about popularity or having toxic social hierarchies or how you can control a situation and lack empathy and lack self-awareness. It's not about trying to get one up on your suppressors. It's not about trying to put other people who are struggling into further struggling positions. It's not about that. It's about bettering yourself. It's about thinking of others as well. And how, even though you feel like your world is small, you don't have any impact, you can have a significant impact. And you need to make the most of your impact in a positive way. These films were not about perfect teenagers, but they're about imperfect people trying to learn who they are. But yeah, that is what I have. My main goal is to, reminisce about teen movies, talk about the tropes, see how they're being conveyed in a movie, their overall messaging, how these movies had an impact on my life, and hopefully we have similarities. Hopefully you was impacted in a different way. You can tell me about it. So I said hopefully because you tell me about it in share notes. Okay, my bad, I'm rambling. Okay, and and how I genuinely appreciate them now. When I was a teenager, not gonna lie, back in the day, I was kind of a little bit jelly, but now since I'm older, I appreciate it. And this video has been fun. I was able to go down memory lane and reminisce about these movies. Now, there's a whole bunch of movies that I missed and a whole bunch of tropes I missed. I'm aware of that. I get it. I could probably do another video later, but let me know. But if you like this video, let me know. If there's something else you want to see, let me know as well. I had other videos covering different topics, covering whole many different facets. If you want one of my older forms of videos, let me know. Let me know. I do not mind. I'm gonna cater to y'all, but let me know which movies come to mind when you think of a teen movie, and let me know if when you think of these tropes, were there other movies you would have replaced instead of the ones that I offered today? Let me know. Let's compare notes. I adored this. This has been wonderful, and I hope you all have a great day today and every day. And one thing I want y'all to take away from this video is try to wake up every day and be a better person. That's it, and the world will be a little bit better. That is it, and that is all. I'm done. I'm done. It's been a long day. I gotta go to BlurCon now. I'm outie. I'm gonna go gender bin right now.